India walked away from the world's largest trade pact in 2019. Back then, the government said joining would threaten farmers, small industries, and the country's economic independence. But now, 5 years later, the scenario has transformed. Punishing U.S. tariffs, shifting global supply chains, and even a tentative thaw with China have placed India at a crossroads. The question is simple, but massive. Should India return to RCEP, the world's biggest trade group? RCEP, or the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, is not just another trade deal. It's the largest trade agreement in history, covering 15 nations, home to more than 2.3 billion people, and accounting for nearly one-third of global GDP. When it was signed in late 2020, India was supposed to be at the table. But at the last moment, New Delhi backed out, fearing damage to farmers, small businesses, and rising dependence on Chinese imports. At the time, it was hailed as a bold decision for self-reliant India. But fast forward to 2025 and the game has changed. Under Donald Trump's second presidency, the U.S. has gone tariff-heavy. Asian economies are feeling the sting. 15 to 20% duties, 40% on Laos, and for India, crippling 50% tariff, with extra penalties for buying discounted Russian oil. Suddenly, Indian exports to the American market are far less competitive. Meanwhile, as Washington tries to squeeze China, Asian nations are turning inward, strengthening RCEP as their own powerful platform for stability. India's problem is even deeper. Despite decades of mistrust with China, trade is booming mostly in one direction. India's trade deficit with Beijing has reached a record $99 billion. Imports pour in from Chinese factories, electronics, chemicals, and machinery. But India's top strengths, pharmaceuticals and IT services, are largely locked out of the Chinese market. A recent study estimates India has an untapped export potential of $161 billion to China. That is 10 times what India currently sells. The issue isn't what India can make it as, whether those goods can actually enter foreign markets. That's why officials in New Delhi are quietly debating a rethink. Rejoining RCEP could open vast new opportunities across Asia. It could diversify India's export base at a time when depending on the U.S. is risky. And with early signs of a thaw in relations, China and ASEAN countries have floated the possibility of written guarantees, ensuring that Indian goods get real access. For sectors like IT, textiles, and pharma, those guarantees could be transformative. But the risks are undeniable. Joining RCEP also means unleashing Chinese competition inside India. Cheap imports could overwhelm farmers, damage small factories, and undercut new startups. Critics warn that India is simply not ready for such exposure. And then there's geopolitics. Can India really align with a China-led trading bloc while still trying to balance Beijing with partnerships in the US, Japan, and Europe? It's not just economics, strategy, and sovereignty. So where does that leave India? The decision may come down to two questions. First, can India secure enforceable market access guarantees that its exports will not be blocked or endlessly delayed? Second, can it negotiate protections for the most vulnerable sectors so domestic farmers and small businesses are not wiped out? The stakes are enormous. With U.S. tariffs biting, supply chains rewiring, and Asia drawing closer together, India's call on RCEP could reshape its economic future for decades. If it rejoins, it may unlock billions in new trade. If it stays out, it risks being isolated from the world's largest trading club. Rejoining RCEP may be the biggest trade gamble in modern Indian history. The only question is, will the rewards outweigh the risks?